akan teruskan dulu. So, dalam bengkel hari ini, apa yang kita suka, what we like is, yang pertama, sikap ingin tahu, an attitude of curiosity, sikap berfikiran terbuka, open-mindedness, mungkin kita akan belajar banyak benda baru hari ini, dan sikap mengambil bahagian, an attitude that wants to take part. So, ini adalah norma untuk bengkel hari ini. So feel free untuk gunakan chat box di tepi. Feel free to use the chat box and to ask any questions. Boleh tanya apa-apa soalan nanti. Tetapi biar saya ceritakan, let me explain a little bit about FINCO dulu. Okay, so FINCO adalah satu organisasi yang disokong oleh semua institusi kewangan di Malaysia. Okay, so apa maksud tu? It means that semua logo-logo di sini, Maybank, CIMB, Citibank, ini adalah partner untuk sebuah company yang bernama FINCO, F-I-N-C-O. Okay, moving on kan. Now we come to the main part of today's workshop. The main part, okay. So hari ini kita ada our very special guest, Miss Poorni. So she is already online and she can't wait to meet you guys. But before I let Poorni introduce herself, sebelum Cik Poorni memperkenalkan diri, saya akan buat satu sedikit quiz. Okay, so quiz ini sangat senang, hanya perlu type dalam chat ya atau tidak untuk setiap soalan tentang Miss Poorni. Okay, so sedia untuk soalan ataupun fakta pertama. Okay, here is your first statement tentang Miss Poorni. Semasa Poorni di sekolah menengah, dia sudah berminat dalam bidang psikologi. Rasa betul ke atau tidak? Is it correct? Is it true or no? Okay, Filza says ya. Mahashri says ya. Tidak. Ya. Okay. Ada banyak kata ya, saya rasa. Majority kata ya. Ada beberapa je kata no, tidak. Alright, interesting. Okay, saya akan beritahu jawapan ya. So the correct answer, right, is actually yes, dia semasa di sekolah menengah pun dia berminat dalam psikologi, tetapi pada masa sekolah menengah tu dia tak pasti apa kita panggil bidang ini. She didn't know what we call this subject, but she liked to study about human behavior. Okay, so itu untuk soalan pertama. So good job for those of you who got that right. Statement yang kedua, adakah Poorni mula bekerja dalam bidang ini setelah tamat pengajian? Did Poorni start working in this industry right after she finished studying? So I see, okay, yang ini separuh-separuh. Ada yes, ada no, ada banyak tidak pun. Oh, okay, interesting. Ada banyak yang kata tidak, ada banyak yang kata ya. Okay, jawapan dia adalah tidak. Okay, so she did not start working in this industry selepas pengajian dia, terus selepas pengajian. Nanti dia akan ceritakan sikit. Later she will tell you a little bit more about where she worked. Okay? Slide yang ketiga. Kursus yang Poorni belajar di university relevant untuk kerja dia sekarang. Do you think that what she studied in university is relevant to her current job as a clinical psychologist? Oh, ada majority yes, saya rasa. Ada beberapa yang kata tidak. Okay, majority yes. The correct answer is yes, betul. Okay, so what she studied in university is relevant to her current job today. Okay, later she will explain more to you guys. Next one, keluarga Poorni memberi sokongan bila dia pilih bidang psikologi. Rasa betul atau tidak? Do you think Poorni's family supported her decision to study psychology? Okay, I see majority yes, ada beberapa no as well. Oh, okay. Majority yes kan saya rasa. So the answer is actually tidak. Okay, so her family initially tidak memberi banyak sokongan bila dia kata dia nak belajar bidang psikologi. Mungkin nanti boleh tanya dia, oh, bagaimana Poorni belajar then kalau keluarga tak sokong. Alright. So let's see the last few questions. Saya rasa dua lagi soalan ni sebelum kita dengar daripada Cik Poorni. Alright, so industri ini merupakan industri yang bekerja 9 to 5. Is this a 9 to 5 job ataupun mungkin kerja sampai lewat malam, pukul 10, pukul 12? Okay, majority kata ya, ada beberapa kata tidak. Okay. So the answer is, according to Cik Poorni, she says yes, this is a 9 AM to 5 PM job. Tetapi ada kemungkinan, mungkin there are some times where you might have to work at different times as well. Tetapi majority 9 AM to 5 PM, alright? So good job, I think many of you got that right. Soalan yang sangat menarik sekarang. Is it difficult to get a high salary in this industry? So it is very difficult to get a high salary in this industry, in clinical psychology. Betul atau tidak? Oh, ada kata yes, ada kata no, ada not sure juga. Okay, selepas hari ni, we will be sure. Okay, I see majority kata no untuk yang ni. And I agree, majority betul. So it is not true, okay? You can get a high salary dalam industri ini. Okay, good job, good job. Last couple of questions I see. Industri ini tidak mempunyai banyak ruang untuk pembangunan diri. Betul atau tidak? This industry does not have a lot of room for self-development. Okay, majority put no. I see everyone, almost semua, hampir semua orang put no. You are correct. There is a lot of room for self-development dalam industri ini. Okay, and last question. Psychologist akan bekerja dengan orang gila sahaja seperti dalam Tanjung Rambutan. Psychologists only work with crazy people. Oh, semua put no, tidak, maybe. Oh, I see one maybe, semua yang lain tidak and no. All right, very interesting, very interesting. Okay, the answer is correct, it's no, okay? So psychologists do not only work with crazy people. And nanti Cik Poorni boleh beritahu siapa dia kerja dengan. Who does she actually work with? Alright, so Cik Poorni, are you there? Are you ready to begin?
Hi, yes I am.
Hi.
Can I just check that everyone can hear and see me?
I think I can hear you very clearly. I can see you as well on your camera, yes. Semua kata hi kepada Cik Poorni.
Hello.
All right, so Poorni, whenever you're ready, feel free to begin.
Okay, I hope it's okay that I speak in English, and if there's anything that you don't understand, please let me know, and Richard will try to translate for you.
Ya, nanti saya akan translate kalau ada sesiapa yang tak pasti perkataan.
Thank you. So I'm just going to give you a general brief history of my life story until I got to where I got to now, which is me working as a clinical psychologist. When I was 15, my family moved from Malaysia to Doha, Qatar, which is where my dad got a job. And there I went to school in an international school, and I did my IB, which is like a high school degree. It's the same as doing like SPM and STPM. So it's equally hard. Maybe that's harder. And then when I was 17, I moved to America to start my undergraduate degree. And my first 2 years of my degree in America, when you study undergraduate degrees, it takes 4 years. So my first 2 years, I was focusing on a general science degree because I was interested in human behavior, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to do psychology. But I chose to do psychology in my 3rd and 4th year with Spanish because I was living in a part in the US, in America, where there were a lot of people from South America who only spoke Spanish.
Okay, terima kasih Poorni. So untuk apa yang Poorni kata tadi, mulanya dia dari Malaysia, dari KL, tetapi dia pindah ke Doha, Qatar dan mula belajar apa yang kita panggil IB dalam satu international school. Lepas tu dia pergi ke USA bila dia berumur 17 tahun. When we are doing SPM, dia dah pergi ke USA untuk dapatkan ijazah degree. Dan ijazah di USA ambil masa 4 tahun. So 2 tahun pertama dia belajar general science. Lepas tu 2 tahun kemudian dia belajar psychology. Dan dia juga belajar bahasa Spanyol, Spanish in Florida. Alright?
So after finishing my degree, I went to volunteer for FIFA. I'm sure most of you know this organization. At the time, they had the World Cup in Brazil. So I went there as a translator because I knew how to speak Spanish, and I spoke a few other languages that helped me get a casual job. And I worked there for a few months before moving to India. I was in South India and I worked for a big hospital as a clinical psychology intern. So that was the first time I started working in a hospital and knew that I needed to do further studies, like a master's, to be able to work in the field. So
Alright.
yeah, you go on.
Okay, alright. Thank you, Poorni. Okay, saya rasa mungkin senang untuk bacakan dalam bahasa Melayu. So, dah ada perkataan-perkataan bahasa Melayu saya takkan terangkan lebih lah. If you have any questions, kalau ada apa-apa soalan, boleh type dalam chat ya. So, Cik Poorni pernah kerja di FIFA pun sebagai translator. Lepas tu dia pergi ke India dan kerja di dalam sebuah hospital. Alright?
So then I moved to Malaysia and I worked for UNHCR. It's a United Nations agency for refugees. And I'm sure many of you know of Rohingya refugees in Malaysia. So my job was to work with children, Rohingya children who were orphaned or left behind without any family, and to find them shelter, homes, and schools. And that's when I started my further studies at Monash University in psychology.
All right, thank you, Poorni. And next.
And after that was when I moved here. So I'm now in Melbourne, Australia, to do my final 2 years of studies in clinical psychology. And since then, I've been working as a clinical psychologist.
Alright, terima kasih Cik Poorni. So ada soalan dalam chat yang tanya berapa umur Miss Poorni. So sekarang dah tahu, okay? Terkagum ke tak? Is her experience good or not? Quite amazing, is it? What do you guys think? Let's see in the chat. I saw some people going, wow. Yeah, Jivan also agrees. Yeah, definitely, right? Most of the time we are 17 years old, but SPM, she is already doing degree. So very fast, oh. Alright, so untuk hari ni kan, kita dapat banyak soalan-soalan daripada semua orang di sini. We got a lot of questions from everyone before coming for today's workshop. So I think ada yang hantar soalan. So saya dah letak semua soalan dalam 3 kategori. So kategori pertama, the first category is semua soalan tentang kerjaya psychology. Kategori kedua, all your questions about studies pendidikan. Dan kategori ketiga, ada juga beberapa soalan tentang nasihat peribadi. Because today we have a psychologist with us, right? So we want to ask her some personal questions also juga boleh. Alright, so let's start with the first question. Saya akan tanya semua soalan ini dulu kerana these questions are what you guys submitted to me. Alright, dan saya baca semua soalan dan saya tanya Cik Poorni. So sekarang Cik Poorni akan jawab semua. Di hujung sesi ini, kalau masih ada soalan, if you still have questions to ask, tak apa, masih boleh tanya soalan tambahan. Okay, so let's see the first question. Okay, soalan yang pertama, ada banyak murid yang nak tahu ini. Is the salary for clinical psychology very high? And is the demand for clinical psychologists very high? Adakah kerjaya ini ada gaji tinggi dan juga permintaan kerja yang tinggi? Cik Poorni, what do you think?
So all of the questions I'm going to answer from the perspective of Australia and Malaysia, because I have friends working in Malaysia as psychologists too. And from what I know, there's a very big demand, especially because of COVID. A lot of people are very unwell, mentally unwell. So there's been a high demand. And to give you a rough approximation of salary, it's the same as most entry-level professionals like engineers or doctors. So you would get around 3,000 to 5,000 depending on private or government sector for your monthly salary. But the difference is if you are a clinical psychologist and you work for a large private hospital or you work on your own, you can earn between 80,000 to 100,000 ringgit a year.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Poorni. Okay, saya akan translate sedikit untuk yang tak dapat nombor-nombor tu, right? So apa yang Cik Poorni kata adalah yang pertama, the salary gaji dia hampir sama dengan gaji seperti engineer ataupun doktor. So you boleh dapat 3,000 to 5,000 ringgit sebulan as your starting salary. Okay, tetapi kalau kamu kerja di private sector, especially sebagai clinical psychologist, ada kemungkinan juga gaji anda boleh naik lagi kepada 80,000, 80,000 ringgit dalam setahun. So maksudnya lebih kurang 7,000 ringgit sebulan lah. Okay, so itulah gaji dan permintaan kerja dia masih tinggi oleh sebab COVID ada lebih demand untuk kerjaya ini. Alright, thank you Cik Poorni. Next question yang ditanya oleh semua murid, di mana kita perlu kerja selepas dah graduate? Where do you work after graduating university? Kerja di hospital je ke?
So that's not true. If you think about the doctors that you go to see, I'm sure when you're sick, you don't only see doctors in hospitals, you see them in small clinics near your house, or they can be working with friends out of small offices as well. So that would be like the private practice versus hospitals.
Alright, so apa yang Cik Poorni kata, mungkin pun boleh bekerja di klinik-klinik ataupun hospital juga. Are there any other places, Cik Poorni, that a psychologist can work or clinical?
Yes, they can work at schools, they can work in universities, they can work within large organizations also. If the corporation is big and they can afford to hire a psychologist, they have one for just their employees. So wherever you think mental health is important, you can have a psychologist there.
Alright, so boleh kerja di sekolah, boleh kerja di university pun, boleh juga kerja di syarikat-syarikat yang besar. Selalunya akan memerlukan psychologist juga. Di mana-mana kesihatan mental penting, di situlah boleh cari psychologist. So almost everywhere. Okay, thank you Cik Poorni. Next question, seorang yang tanya ni, perlu ke bahasa Inggeris untuk kerja ini ataupun BM cukup?
This depends on where in Malaysia you are. I think if you live in Selangor or any capital city or even Penang, having English is really important because most of your clients are going to be non-Malay population. But if you are outside of these areas, having both languages is very helpful.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Poorni. So apa yang Poorni kata adalah dalam Selangor, KL, Penang, tempat-tempat macam ni, English sangat penting. Tetapi di negeri lain-lain, mungkin kalau boleh cakap bahasa Inggeris dan BM bagus, tetapi kalau BM sahaja mungkin bolehlah. It depends di mana tempat kerja anda. Okay, so it depends on your clients yang akan jumpa dengan psychologist itu. Alright. Soalan seterusnya, ada seorang yang tanya, perlu ke temu duga untuk kerja sebagai ahli psikologi? Do you need an interview when you want to work as a psychologist?
Yes, if you're going to work for any organization, hospital or clinic, the people who already work there would probably want to interview you to make sure that you can do a good job.
Alright, so jawapan dia, yeah, okay. Short answer is yes, memang akan perlu temu duga, okay. Cannot escape temu duga. Kerana mereka pun nak tahu, okay, adakah psikologi ini berkualiti untuk syarikat atau hospital atau klinik saya. Alright, next question. Apakah hala tuju kerjaya untuk clinical psychology? What is the career path of clinical psychology?
So this is a very important question. In Malaysia, you must do your first degree in science or psychology, and you can do this at any university. There are lots of universities that offer psychology, but then you must also do a master's in clinical psychology. So it's 3 to 4 years for your first degree and then 2 years for your second degree. So you can be in university up to 6 years.
All right, and then after that, Poorni, once you start working, so you work as a clinical psychologist, and then?
So the difference between a country like Australia and Malaysia is Australia has a governing body that regulates everyone who graduates to make sure that their degree matches the requirement for you to be a psychologist, the same way that Malaysia does for doctors, but there isn't a body for that for psychology yet. So you could do a degree of 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years and still practice in Malaysia because no one is checking for now.
Oh, okay. So apa yang Cik Poorni kata, kalau nak belajar untuk kerjaya ini, anda perlu belajar mungkin degree dalam sains ataupun psikologi dan lepas itu buat masters. So mungkin 4 tahun dan tambah 2 tahun lagi. 4 years and then 2 years untuk masters sebelum boleh kerja dalam clinical psychology. Di Australia ada lebih undang-undang untuk ikut. Di Malaysia mungkin bukan ada terlalu banyak regulations setakat ini. Alright. I see one question in the chat from Puvanis earlier. Puvanis, just hold your question. Later at the end, pada akhir sesi ini, kita akan tanya semua soalan tambahan. Okay, I see one question on this topic. Just Liza, pure science, and what type of treatments do you use from Puvitra? So nanti Cik Poorni boleh terangkan lebih, okay? Saya akan teruskan dulu ya. So hold your questions first. Very interesting question. Actually, apa itu clinical psychologist akan buat setiap hari? Do they just pergi ke pejabat ke dan cakap dengan orang ke bagaimana? So what does your day-to-day job look like?
So I currently work 2 jobs, which is on the PowerPoint. My first job is a private practice job. So that's in the private sector. My second job is for the Australian government. So the Australian government job requires me to work from home because of COVID and the government isn't open. So I do all of my sessions with my clients online like this, with using the internet. So I speak to them over Zoom, and my sessions usually last 1 to 2 hours. And for my private practice, I go to my office and I see clients face to face. And again, my sessions last 1 to 2 hours. And in a day, I can see up to 5 clients. And then I spend the rest of the day doing my notes, talking to doctors, talking to psychiatrists, things like that.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Poorni. So apa yang Cik Poorni kata adalah dia ada 2 kerja. Satu untuk kerajaan, satu swasta. One government, one private. Okay. So in her government job, dia akan ada online sesi bersama klien-klien dia. And in her private job, dia akan ada sesi bersemuka dengan klien-klien dia. So she can go to an office dan bekerja dengan orang. So saya nak tanya Poorni, bila kamu ada sesi, when you have a session with someone else, right? What do you do, or what does it look like?
So it depends on what they are struggling with. I'm sure most of you know.
Saya rasa talian internet dah, it is frozen. Okay, kita akan tunggu. Okay, yeah, I see you're back.
Yeah?
Yep, I can hear you again, yep.
Great. Someone books an appointment with me, they're usually booking an appointment because they have depression or anxiety or some kind of mental health problem that's more intense, that's getting in the way of them living their lives. So my sessions with whoever it is focus on trying to figure out what is getting in the way of their life, what kinds of mental health problems do they face, and I'm trying to understand how psychology can help them feel better so they can perform better in their lives.
Alright, terima kasih Cik Poorni. Okay, so apa yang Poorni kata adalah orang yang ada kesakitan mental illness kan, seperti kemurungan, depression, right? Mungkin mereka akan ada sesi-sesi ini dengan clinical psychologist, dan psychologist itu akan cuba tolong mereka fahami actually apa masalah yang mereka ada dan bagaimana nak mengatasi masalah-masalah ini. Alright, Khairun, I see you have a question. Are we allowed to ask questions in Malay? Yes, you can. If I need to, I can translate for Cik Poorni. So Cik Poorni boleh faham bahasa Melayu, tetapi mungkin susah sikit untuk cakap dalam bahasa Melayu. So feel free to ask your questions in Malay as well. Okay, soalan seterusnya. Ada seorang yang tanya, susah ke untuk jadi clinical psychologist? Is it difficult?
Depends on how much you like to study. It's the same number of years as becoming a doctor. So if you like studying, great. If you don't, this is not a good field to be in.
I see. So untuk bidang ini perlu belajar banyak lah. Perlu belajar 6 tahun kan? Ya, 6 years. So sama seperti doktor. So kalau kamu tak suka belajar, mungkin susah. Maybe then it is difficult for you. Okay, but if you like studying, if you like learning new things, then I think this should be no problem for you. Okay, terima kasih Poorni. Okay, next question. Is it nice working in psychology? Best ke kerja dalam psychology?
I love it. I love my work. Every day I feel very lucky to be working in this field because people share very personal things with me, and I feel very privileged to be able to help them through very personal things.
I see. So Cik Poorni suka menolong orang lain lah. You like to help other people. That's why you feel you really like psychology?
Yes.
I see. Okay, terima kasih. So Cik Poorni kata ya, memang best untuk dia kerana dia memang suka untuk tolong orang yang ada masalah seperti ini. Alright. Next question. Berapa tahun untuk belajar? Okay, we are now in the second category of our Q&A. We have studies, okay? So mulanya saya nak mula, berapa tahun kita perlu belajar? So how many years to study? So Cik Poorni, just now you said 4 years for degree and 2 years for masters, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so selepas itu ada apa-apa lain ke?
It depends on where you are. If you are doing this overseas, if you get a scholarship or something to go overseas, usually the foreign country will require you to do housemanship the way that doctors do in Malaysia for 2 years. So that's an additional 2 years before you can call yourself a clinical psychologist. But in Malaysia, that isn't regulated, so it doesn't matter.
So di Australia perlu kerja sedikit sebagai houseman lah, dalam housemanship untuk 2 tahun sebelum officially dapat pangkat clinical psychologist. Okay, terima kasih Cik Poorni. I see more questions coming in the chat. Good. I will get to your questions soon. We will cover these questions first. Soalan-soalan yang ditanya dahulu, alright? So next question, what is the education pathway for clinical psychology? Saya rasa yang ini Cik Poorni sudah jawab, so I will skip this one first ya. Saya akan teruskan dulu. Okay, yang ini saya nampak ada beberapa soalan dalam chat tadi tentang pelajaran about studies, right? So I want to ask, Poorni, do you know which universities in Malaysia are good for psychology?
Yeah, there are some public universities that are very good. So UKM is well known for psychology, USM, So whatever university you feel is closer to you and you're able to go to, I think check whether they have a good psychology department. As long as they have a psychology department, you'd probably be able to apply and go.
Okay, so tadi Cik Poorni dah senaraikan beberapa universiti, saya rasa di Selangor, KL dan juga satu di Penang yang bagus untuk psikologi. Tetapi untuk kawan-kawan kami dari Sabah, Sarawak, tak perlu risau, confirm ada universiti-universiti berdekatan ataupun di dalam negeri-negeri masing-masing yang juga menawarkan bidang psikologi juga. Okay, so mungkin selepas hari ini kamu pun perlu research di Google university di Sabah yang menawarkan bidang psikologi. Okay, maybe you have to research a bit untuk belajar tentang itu. Dan ada seorang dalam chat yang tanya, how much does it cost to study this course? Berapa banyak yuran yang saya perlu bayar? So yang itu I will say it depends on your university. Okay, depends kalau nak study private, kalau nak study government. Dan lepas tu universiti yang mana, universiti berlainan ada cost berlainan. Okay, so that's something you will need to research di Google. Boleh Google, boleh cari maklumat ini. Okay, next question. How many A's do I need to get into university? Berapa banyak A saya perlu untuk masuk university?
So this, Richard actually helped me find the answer. And I can't remember what it was. Do you?
No problem. I remember. So untuk yang ni saya akan cuba jawab, okay? So berapa banyak A saya perlu untuk masuk universiti? So saya check laman web UM dan saya rasa UKM, Universiti Malaya and UKM juga. Dan saya dapat tahu bahawa mereka kata you need to have minimum grade C dalam bahasa Melayu. Minimum grade C dalam bahasa Melayu dan juga pass dalam sejarah. So you have to get a C in your BM and you have to pass your history, sejarah. Okay, kalau dapat dua-dua itu okay, then I think you can apply untuk masuk universiti itu. Untuk STPM, ada satu universiti yang kata I think you need 2.0 CGPA. Untuk diploma, kalau belajar diploma, kalau pass diploma je, kamu layak untuk masuk dalam universiti. Okay, so itu jawapan yang saya cari di Google. Tetapi selepas ini, I recommend semua murid-murid cuba Google Universiti Malaya ataupun Universiti di Sabah dan cuba tengok apa kelayakan untuk masuk program psikologi di universiti berlainan. Okay, next question. Saya ingin, yang ini seorang tanya soalan yang sangat spesifik. Saya ingin belajar psikoterapi di London. Ada apa-apa nasihat untuk saya? So I want to study psychotherapy in London. Maybe Poorni, can you explain first what is psychotherapy dan beza, what is the difference between psychology or clinical psychology dan psychotherapy?
Yeah. So, psychology is the study of the mind. So, you learn a lot around the theory of how psychology developed and how to apply that in general. So, when you learn psychology, you're learning a lot of generalized principles and theories behind how psychology was developed. Psychotherapy is very specific to one type of therapy that people use when they talk about mental health problems. However, psychotherapists do not treat very serious mental health disorders. They are taught from the very beginning how to handle more general mental health disorders. So, like depression or anxiety.
I see. So clinical psychologists would be able to handle the more serious cases, is that right?
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so apa yang Cik Poorni kata adalah dalam clinical psychology, dalam psychology dulu, mereka akan belajar, they will study in general, belajar generally tentang minda seorang dan juga apa faktor-faktor yang the contributing factors untuk kesakitan mental itu. Tetapi dalam psikoterapi, pelajaran dia lebih spesifik, tetapi mereka tidak boleh merawat kes-kes yang sangat serius. Tetapi clinical psychology boleh, psychotherapy tak boleh. Okay, so that is the difference. Thank you, Ms. Poorni. I see some more questions coming up. Good, keep the questions coming. Okay, I think this is one of our last questions sudah. So saya nampak ada beberapa soalan yang tanya tentang nasihat peribadi. So how can I overcome my depression? I am very stressed. How can you help me? Or what should I do? Semua soalan seperti ini. So saya campurkan semua soalan dalam satu soalan ini. Alright, so bagaimana untuk menolong seorang yang ada kesakitan mental seperti kemurungan, stress, anxiety atau lain-lain. Alright, how do we help someone who has mental illnesses, depression, stress, or other mental illnesses?
So this can be for someone you know, someone you care about, or even for yourself. I saw some questions about how to study better. So I'm going to give you guys 3 tips for maintaining your mental health, the way that you would maintain your physical health. So the first tip would be try to create a routine, whether it's for yourself or for the person you know that's struggling with bad mental health. So a routine is very important, having structure, doing the same things most days. So waking up at the same time, eating your breakfast at the same time, things like that. The second tip that's really important is have people in your life that you can talk to who will listen to you, who will listen to your feelings without telling you that you are lying or shutting you down or not caring or not investing in you. So there's something called active listening. I don't know if you guys have heard of this term before, but active listening is basically the skill of being able to listen to what someone says to you and then repeat it back to them with different words. So that shows that you're listening to what they're saying, you're paying attention to it, and you're not trying to problem solve. So that's my second tip, having people that can listen to your feelings. The third one is to recognize when you need professional help or help from someone personal in your life. So if things are really bad and you don't think talking to a friend or talking to your family member is going to help, then it's time to maybe consider going to talk to someone who has professional skills to be able to help you or the person you care about.
Okay, terima kasih Poorni. Okay, biar saya cuba ingatkan ya. So tip pertama, nasihat pertama yang Poorni bagikan adalah cuba tetapkan satu rutin harian. Siapa tu unmute? Alright, dah mute dah. Okay, saya teruskan dulu. So tip pertama, nasihat pertama, yang ini nasihat percuma daripada clinical psychologist. So it's very valuable to us, okay? So cuba tetapkan rutin harian. Untuk setiap hari, bangun pagi masa sama, makan sarapan masa sama. Cuba tetapkan rutin harian yang ditetaplah, yang standard. Okay, itu adalah satu cara untuk mungkin mengatasi kesakitan mental. Yang kedua, cuba cari kawan ataupun keluarga yang supportive, yang bagus menyokong anda. Okay, so tadi Cik Poorni kata juga, kalau mereka pandai buat active listening. Apa itu active listening? Maksudnya mereka takkan dengar, lepas tu jawab semua soalan, lepas tu kamu salah, actually you are wrong. patutnya kamu tak perlu fikir tentang kesedihan ini. Kamu perlu fikir secara positif. That is not active listening. Itu memberi jawapan je. So active listening maksudnya mereka akan betul-betul fahami apa yang kamu meluahkan kepada mereka. Alright. Dan yang ketiga, kalau masih case serius, mungkin kemurungan ke, stres ke, anxiety ke, lain-lain ke, barulah boleh cuba jumpa professional seperti psychologist, clinical psychologist, pergi untuk counselling seperti itu. Okay? I think ini adalah soalan terakhir untuk slide saya. Tadi saya nampak ada beberapa soalan tambahan. So saya akan bacakan, okay? Yang pertama, can we have a mental problem at our age? Can we go to hospital and check at our age? So pada umur kita, let's say you are umur 17 atau 16, betul ke kita boleh ada kesakitan mental pada umur ini dan boleh kita pergi ke hospital? So Miss Poorni, what do you think?
Yes, I mean, if you can fall and break your leg and go to a hospital for an operation at 3 years old, then the same thing can happen for you mentally. Maybe not that young, but children do see psychologists, maybe because of the families that are going through difficulty.
Alright, so terima kasih Poorni. So Poorni kata, memang boleh mencari pertolongan daripada psychologist, and definitely ada orang yang ada kesakitan mental walaupun berumur 17, 16 ataupun lebih muda pun ada kesakitan mental juga. So it is possible. Yang kedua, this is an interesting question. Berapa harga untuk satu appointment? How much does one appointment usually cost bila nak bertemu dengan psychologist?
Yeah. In the government sector, if you're working for the government, it's free. If you go to see someone in the private sector, it depends on which state you live in. I can speak for Selangor and Penang. I think it's roughly between 150 ringgit to 300 ringgit for one session.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Poorni. So, apa yang Cik Poorni kata adalah kalau pergi di bawah kerajaan through a government organisation, organisasi kerajaan, then percuma, okay, untuk sesi dengan psikologis mungkin percuma. Tetapi kalau pergi ke swasta, private, then satu appointment dengan seorang psikologis mungkin RM150 sampai RM300. And this is based on Selangor dan juga Penang. So mungkin negeri lain ada kos-kos lain, ya. Okay, soalan seterusnya, the next question. How much does it cost to studying this course? Okay, yang itu saya dah beritahu tadi. So it depends which university you are going to, government or private, dan negeri mana. So what you can do is selepas hari ini pergi ke Google, cuba search university itu ijazah psikologi dan cuba cari berapa kos atau apa kelayakan untuk masuk dalam universiti ini. Okay, usually laman web dah ada. Next question, what type of patients will visit you? What is patient? Pesakit macam mana yang akan melawat psychologist? What type of patients do you get?
Yeah, the type of patients that come to see me are people who have been feeling sad or depressed for a long time, who have really bad anxiety that they can't leave the house, or they can't go to work, they can't do the things that they used to do, or someone who's lost a loved one, someone's passed away, or they've gone through a really bad breakup. Basically anything that would cause you pain emotionally or mentally. That's the kind of patient that would come.
Right. So so pesakit yang akan jumpa dengan psikologis adalah sesiapa yang ada mungkin kesakitan emosi atau mental oleh sebab kehidupan mereka lah, whatever happened in their life. Okay. So thank you very much. Okay, next question. Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed with the stories that your clients tell? Oh, very interesting question. Adakah Cik Poorni rasa saya dah lupa apa perkataan overwhelmed dalam bahasa Melayu. Siapa boleh cuba type dalam chat, apakah perkataan untuk overwhelmed dalam bahasa Melayu? Boleh tolong saya sikit. Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed dengan semua cerita-cerita yang klien anda akan beritahu? Do you feel overwhelmed with all the stories that your clients tell you? Poorni, what do you think?
Yeah, sometimes I work with some people who've been through some really bad traumas, that they've experienced awful tragedies in their lives. And that's very sad to hear. I'm still human, so listening to that sometimes can make me feel very sad and overwhelmed.
Right. Okay. So mungkin ada kalanya Cik Poorni pun rasa sedikit overwhelmed. Okay. Okay. Next question. Macam mana cara Miss Poorni belajar dengan baik? Means cara terbaik belajar untuk menjadi psychologist. So here's the question. How do you, Poorni, study very well? And what is the best way to study for psychology, in your opinion?
Studying for psychology in university is the same as studying for any subject. So as long as you know how to study and how to prepare for exams, so making sure you do lots of practice questions, making sure you understand the content, you quiz and test yourself, that's the best way to study.
Okay, so Cik Poorni kata sama seperti belajar untuk subjek apa-apa lain pun, buat quiz untuk diri sendiri, test yourself, buat ujian diri sendiri supaya anda betul-betul faham apa yang anda perlu belajar. Okay, good questions. Thank you, Poorni. A few more questions and still ada beberapa soalan masih datang. It's okay, we still have time. Thank you very much for all of your questions. I will try not to miss out any, tetapi kalau saya terlepas apa-apa soalan, tolong beritahu saya ya. And thank you, Kenny. I see over there, overwhelmed, terharu. So kalau rasa tadi untuk soalan tadi terharu maksudnya. Okay, thank you very much, Kenny. Next question. How can you stop overthinking about little things? Poorni, what do you think?
This is a good question. So a very simple technique that tends to help is distraction. So you can either distract yourself with something fun or distract yourself with something productive.
I see. Okay, so soalan dia tadi, bagaimana anda boleh hentikan selalu berfikir terlalu banyak tentang sesuatu. Okay, overthinking, selalu fikir tentang perkara buruk, for example. So how can we stop is kita bagi distraction kepada diri sendiri dan buat benda-benda produktif, benda yang kita suka buat, dan kita boleh distract diri sendiri dan fokus pada benda lebih positif. Alright, wah bahasa Melayu saya susah untuk kata yang tu. If you have better words, feel free untuk letak dalam chat ya. Untuk yang pandai dalam bahasa Inggeris dan bahasa Melayu. Thank you for helping me. Okay, soalan seterusnya. Do you learn how to read body language? Boleh anda baca, what is body language dalam bahasa Melayu? Pergerakan seorang. Yeah.
Even I know that doesn't mean.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Bahasa badan. Is it really body language? Okay. Bahasa badan.
Yes, that's a very important clue to understanding someone and understanding a patient or a client. I'll give you an example. Pretend I'm the client and I'm facing you and all of you are the psychologists. If I can't make eye contact with you when I'm speaking to you, I'm looking away, I'm looking elsewhere, but I'm talking to you and I'm nervous, my hands are twitching, my legs are constantly shaking, then that is telling you, the psychologist, that I'm really nervous to be here. I'm scared, I'm anxious. So you're listening and you're looking at my body and the way that I'm behaving.
Okay, so Cik Poorni kata memang dia perlu baca bahasa badan. I think bahasa isyarat is sign language, right? Different already. So bahasa badan. So memang dia perlu baca bahasa badan itu. Contohnya bila orang bercakap dengan psychologist, kalau dia tak nak tengok dalam mata orang itu bila bercakap, dia selalu tengok bawah ke, tengok kiri kanan, main dengan jari dia, main dengan kaki dia. Maybe that means they are nervous ataupun tidak selesa. Okay? Thank you, Poorni. Okay, next question. Have you ever felt depressed yourself? Adakah Cik Poorni pernah rasa kemurungan?
Yeah, yes. I think most of us know someone or have ourselves experienced depression at some point in our lives. Statistically, most of us will at some points in our lives. So it's really important to know how to look out for yourself and look after yourself.
So jawapan dia adalah ya. Okay, so apa yang Cik Poorni kata adalah statistically dalam kehidupan seseorang ada kemungkinan besar kita akan ada mungkin satu musim masa, one season of your life di mana kita akan kita perlu mengatasi kemurungan. But what is important is, apa yang penting, kita perlu cari pertolongan, we need to seek help and also mengatasi cabaran itu dalam kehidupan kita. Okay, next question. Okay, we still got more questions. Okay, let's keep going. What kind of psychology illness that can happen to teenagers nowadays? So, apakah kesakitan psikologi yang selalunya akan berlaku kepada orang remaja hari ini?
A very common one is anxiety because of pressure from family to study well or to perform well, have high achievement, or even in sports, or to be working and studying and supporting your family. So anxiety is a very common one.
I see. Okay, so anxiety dalam bahasa Melayu tu kebimbangan yang serius ke? Saya pun tak pasti ada perkataan spesifik ke untuk anxiety. Tetapi anxiety disebabkan oleh keluarga yang pertama, mungkin keluarga ada tekanan dari keluarga untuk pendidikan ke ataupun untuk kerja. So itu adalah satu kesakitan mental yang sangat kerap berlakulah untuk orang remaja. Kegelisahan. Thank you Lakshmi. Alright, and thank you Alina. Kegelisahan. Yes, that is anxiety. Okay. Another question which I missed, berdasarkan your studies, based on your studies, how can you skip your SPM? Okay, saya akan tunjuk balik tadi Cik Poorni punya timeline. So Cik Poorni, maybe you want to explain kenapa umur 15 dah mula belajar International Bachelorette dan kenapa umur 17 boleh mula belajar ijazah?
So my family left Malaysia, so I didn't have the option to go to government school and finish my SPM. I had to go to an international school because we were living in Doha in Qatar.
Alright, terima kasih Cik Poorni. So Poorni tak dapat buat SPM di Malaysia. Sebelum umur itu dia dah keluar negara, pergi ke Qatar dan dia belajar di sekolah antarabangsa, international school. Okay. All right, let's see what else. What type of treatments do you use? Okay, rawatan jenis apa yang anda gunakan sebagai clinical psychologist?
So talk therapy, it's a type of therapy that involves talking and expressing your feeling. Within talk therapy, there are many ways to engage in treatment. So the two types of treatment that I do, and I don't think there's translation for this in Malay, is cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. So it's about changing your actions based on changing your feelings. And the second one is schema therapy. So schema therapy is about healing your traumas from your early childhood.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Poorni. Okay, bagaimana untuk translate ini? Okay, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Sorry Poorni, can you explain again in English what is cognitive behavioral therapy?
Yeah, so CBT focuses on changing your actions, your behaviors based on changing your thoughts and your feelings.
Okay, so tukarkan actions. What is actions? Why bahasa saya dah lupa. Tukarkan perbuatan kita, tingkah laku kita berdasarkan selepas kita tukar pemikiran kita dulu. So you change your thinking, cuba tukarkan pemikiran, lepas itu kita cuba tukar tingkah laku kita. Thanks Sarah, thanks Alina. Okay, dan selepas itu tadi kata tentang schema kan? What was the other one about schema, Poorni?
Schema therapy focuses on healing your early life experiences. So any big or small traumas that you might have experienced as an adult, we revisit your early childhood and focus on healing that part.
Okay, so peristiwa kehidupan daripada masa dahulu, mungkin bila kecil atau mungkin beberapa tahun dahulu, skema terapi akan fokus untuk merawat pesakit berdasarkan peristiwa itu yang sudah berlaku mungkin beberapa tahun yang lalu. Alright, let me go back to my slide on soalan-soalan first. Okay, next question, let me see. Someone had anxiety or depression. Does someone who has anxiety or depression, is he able to be a psychologist? So kalau saya ada kegelisahan, is it? Ya, kegelisahan ataupun kemurungan, boleh saya jadi seorang pakar psychologist?
Yes, absolutely. It should not prevent you from being able to do it. Think of a doctor again. If they broke their leg, they can still become a doctor.
Alright, interesting analogy yang menarik. Okay, so jawapan Cik Poorni adalah memang boleh, masih boleh jadi psychologist. Seperti doktor. Doktor biasa kan, kalau mereka pecah tulang kaki ke apa, mereka masih boleh kerja sebagai doktor. So you still can work as a psychologist. Tetapi mungkin perlu mengatasi kesakitan mental itu. Next question, someone asked, can you spot someone who is lying? Boleh anda cuba teka sesiapa yang what's lying? Tak, bohong, yes, bohong.
No, I'm not a mind reader. I wish I was psychic.
So psychologist tidak boleh kata sesiapa bohong ke tak, okay? That one is not true. Maybe tengok dalam movies kan. Okay, for example, we are the psychologists, how we want to behave to a patient. So sebagai seorang psychologist, bagaimana kita behave, bagaimana kita dah lupa BM saya. Okay, bagaimana behavior kita kepada pesakit, berinteraksi. Yes, thank you Cikgu Sarah. Bagaimana kita berinteraksi dengan pesakit kita?
The same way you would in any other profession. So you want to be professional, but you also want to be yourself. Don't try to fake anything else.
Okay, so apa yang Cik Poorni kata adalah tak perlu bohong tentang diri sendiri. Don't need to cakap benda yang tidak benar tentang diri sendiri, tetapi be yourself. Bila seperti kerjaya lain pun, you be a professional and you be yourself. Okay. How about family support? Is it important? Okay, ada seorang yang tanya tadi.
Yes, definitely. If your family is providing you financial, emotional, and physical support, then it's very important that you have your family support. But that's it. My parents were very traditional and wanted me to only do medicine and become a doctor. They were not happy with me studying psychology. So it took many years for me to convince.
Oh, I think we'll have to wait for her line to come back. Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. So I was just saying it took many years for me to convince my parents that psychology is equally, if not more important than physical health.
Okay, so Cik Poorni kata ya, sangat penting untuk dapat sokongan daripada keluarga, tetapi untuk Cik Poorni, keluarganya mula-mulanya tidak sokong. So dia ambil mungkin sedikit banyak masa untuk memberitahu keluarganya kepentingan kesihatan mental serta kesihatan fizikal. It's not kesihatan fizikal lebih penting, tetapi kesihatan fizikal dan juga kesihatan mental, dua-dua pun sangat penting. Alright. Let's see what else. Is it true that untreated depression can cause brain damage? So benar ke tak bila kita ada kemurungan dan kita tak cari pertolongan daripada psychologist ke apa, kita boleh ada sakit, what is apa perkataan untuk ini, brain damage. Okay, saya akan tunggu, mungkin seorang boleh tolong saya di chat, tetapi maybe Poorni you can answer first. Is it
any kind of mental health disorder, if it goes untreated for a very long time, it can change your brain chemistry. So it can change the way that your physical brain looks and feels. So your neurons and the way that your brain responds to your nervous system can change if it goes untreated. But that's only if it's a very severe depression and very severe kind of mental health disorders.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Poorni. So untuk kes-kes serius memang ada impact dan impact negatif atas otak kita. Alright, yeah, first time dengar otak rosak. Tetapi thank you everyone for giving me the words in the chat. Okay, let me see. Last few questions I think, where slightly sedikit lebih daripada masa, tetapi I think we have a bit more of Cik Poorni's time. Poorni, are you okay to stay on a bit longer?
Yes.
How can you handle your patients with bad anxiety? Bagaimana Poorni tolong pesakit yang ada kegelisahan yang sangat serius?
So a very important tip when you're anxious is to do breathing exercises. So any kind of meditation or breathing exercises helps calm your body and your brain down, because when you're anxious, there's less oxygen in your body and your nervous system. So your body is ready to go into like a fight or flight mode. So introducing oxygen, taking more oxygen in with breathing exercises helps reduce anxiety. So that's what I do with my patients before working with them if they're very anxious.
Alright, terima kasih Cik Poorni. So buat aktiviti pernafasan, breathing exercises, senaman bernafas. Okay, so bila ada kegelisahan yang sangat serius, step pertama bernafas. Ambil lebih oksigen dalam badan kita supaya kita boleh fikir dengan lebih tenang sedikit. Alright, terima kasih Cik Poorni. I think last question that I see over here, when did you decide to be a psychologist, and was it your first option when you want to grow up? So adakah anda selalunya nak jadi ahli psychologist, dan bila? When did you decide?
I knew I wanted to become a psychologist when I was working in India for some psychologists in that hospital. I didn't always know I wanted to become a psychologist. I didn't know what I wanted to be, honestly, until I was 21. So take your time.
Okay, over here, so saya nampak. Okay, so bila Cik Poorni kerja di India, itulah masa dia kata, okay, saya memang nak kerja sebagai seorang psychologist. Tetapi bila dia berumur 21 tahun, dia masih tak duduk rumah je. Dia dapat pengalaman baru di luar. Okay, so she still gains new experience, and that's how she found out that she likes psychology. Okay, I see one other question kat sini, satu soalan terakhir. Have you ever met a patient? Oh, have you ever met a patient who has depression but is related to something mystical? Not too sure what you mean, Luciana, but Poorni, would you have any thoughts on this?
I don't know what you mean by mystical.
Okay, so mungkin sedikit susah untuk jawab soalan itu, Luciana. But no problem. Thank you so much untuk semua soalan-soalan. Any last question, soalan terakhir sebelum kita tamat sesi untuk hari ini. But please don't leave yet. Ada satu perkara lagi untuk buat nanti. But any last questions sebelum kita teruskan? Final questions, final thoughts. I think she meant superstitions. Oh, scroll up my question, please, Nordia. Let me see, Nordia. Oh, okay, I see Nordia's question. Some people thought that wounding, self-harm, or just end up they're depressed by suicide is the best healing for their problem. How do we know that some people are depressed? Oh, so I'm not sure what your question is, Nordia. So you're asking, how do we know that someone is depressed, is it? Is that your question? I think that could be her question. So maybe, okay, Poorni, so maybe you could answer first. Bagaimana kita boleh tahu seorang ada kemurungan?
Yeah, if it's someone close to you, you know what their patterns of behavior are like. So say it's your mother, and you know every day she wakes up and makes breakfast for you, but for the last week she's been feeling, she's not sick, but she's not doing the same things anymore. That might be a first sign that something's different. Why is it changing? Is there a reason for it? Obviously, if she's going to work, that's a good reason. But if she's at home and something's not right, then you know there's a difference in the pattern.
Alright, so mungkin rutin seorang yang suddenly bertukar. So selalunya mereka kan ada rutin, tetapi mungkin dah tukar rutin dia, and for no apparent reason, right? So mungkin itu adalah satu tanda kemurungan. Tak confirm, tetapi maybe it is a sign. Andrea, I see one comment here. What is the main subject we want to study for being a psychologist? Any answer for that, Poorni? What main subject?
I think it depends on which university you go to. So it's important for you to do your own research because each university chooses a different subject that's important.
So university berlainan, ada tekanan pada subjek berlainan. So it depends on your university. Alright, terima kasih Cik Poorni. Anyone else got any last questions? If not, okay, I will wait about 10 more seconds, 10 saat lagi. If you have any final questions. Okay, terima kasih Cik Poorni. Okay, Let's try to get a picture. Boleh kita ambil satu gambar dengan Cik Poorni? So I'll stop screen sharing dulu. Give me 1 second dulu. Ada satu perkara yang terakhir untuk siapkan dulu. Tetapi sebelum itu, please say thank you and goodbye to Cik Poorni. She has been a big help, I think, for all of us here, right? Dah belajar benda baru ke?
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Poorni.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Poorni.
Thank you, Miss.
Asri.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Poorni.
Thank you, Miss Poorni.
Poorni.